Hi guys, what's up, what's down, what's sideways? James here for Chronic Fatigue Syndrome, my friend, my enemy, my constant companion, day 94. What's up guys? So, today is Sunday. If you're watching this and it happens to be a Sunday, happy Sunday. If not, I hope the day is going well for you. Yesterday I talked about, like, today. You know, you might have a good day today and you don't know how tomorrow is going to be. If it's not as good a day as you want, don't use it as a point to make yourself feel bad or get down the dumps over it. And today has not been as active. Excuse me for a second. Active day as yesterday, but there have been some good points. Haven't been as energetic outwardly and have rested for most of the day, but it hasn't been the worst day I could experience. So is it a good day? I think so. And during the course of today, on Netflix they've got a presentation by DeGeneres, and she's doing a stand-up comedy show. I'm about halfway through. I haven't watched all of it because I've been doing other things, but it's interesting to watch and be reminded that regardless of your health, people only see what they see, and they don't see what lies underneath and what got you to there. So, like an iceberg, like when you look at a person, you're looking at actually the tip of the iceberg, and everything that they've experienced or made them who they are today, or makes up their whole, sits beneath the water and we can't see it. So I was watching Ellen DeGeneres, and she was saying, it was going good, and then stuff happened, and then suddenly it wasn't going good, and I lost, this and that, and then it took me 3 years to get back on track, and now I'm been doing it for X years, and it's going good. I'm summing it up because don't spoilers. But so this is a person who we watch and like, oh, they're very successful, life's good to them, rah rah, but it's that easy to forget that they might be successful, and they might have it good now, but it's not necessarily how it's always been, and it doesn't mean that they haven't had to work really hard to get there. You can't see the giant iceberg underneath the water. And the same thing when you cross over to chronic fatigue syndrome, fibromyalgia syndrome. So when you look at someone with chronic fatigue syndrome, you're looking at just like the very tip of the top of the iceberg, and maybe you can see little bits above the water, and like, oh, they look tired today, or oh, they look like they're in pain, or oh, they look sick, or wow, they can't move very much, that kind of thing. And then underneath it, you got that giant iceberg of everything that they've had to put up with within themselves or other people, and including like the medical profession, friends, family, disbelievers, unhelpful supportive people, and then supportive people. So it's everything like that. Their own challenges, their own personal life goals and wants and desires and dreams and stuff like that is all underneath the water. And it's just important to know that for a normal person it's the same. We don't see the challenges that got them there. And for someone with chronic fatigue syndrome and fibromyalgia syndrome, or any chronic illness that's slightly invisible, you can't see what they've gone through to get there. That person, and so there's a lot of similarities. Everything I say most likely can transpose across for a normal person as well. That person has survived their worst day ever to get there. It might not be the worst day that they'll ever experience, but each person who's got to now has survived their worst day ever. They've had their own challenges. They've had their own They've had dreams that they've wanted to go out and fulfill. They've either fulfilled them or not. They've got their own regrets. They've got um, their story, and that whole life all summed up this walking person in front of you. And then when you got that chronic illness, you've also got that additional, like, you've the health aspect as well. So you don't just have the challenges of life. You've got chronic fatigue syndrome and fibromyalgia syndrome that contribute to the challenges of life. So our challenges of life include now CFS and FMS, not just the normal life things. And so if you've got chronic fatigue syndrome, it's important to remember, like, you look at the successful person and like, wow, they're doing this, like they've got it made, like, rah. And like we don't know everything that they've gone through to get there. We might know of it a little bit, but we don't really know what it took for them to make their way to that point. And now you've got chronic fatigue syndrome or fibromyalgia syndrome or both, and no one can know what it's like for you to get to your current point. We can know of your challenges, we can know of your pains and the awfulness, but we don't actually know. We haven't been there. Even someone else with chronic fatigue syndrome, I haven't been in your skin. And the other side to it is sometimes you who have experienced it all might forget about all the things that you've had to get through to get there, and forget that, you know, you have done an amazing thing to make your way through so many challenges. Now, a lot of people like to go like, oh, it's been so hard for so long, and woe is me, and pity me, and, you know, validate me complaining about this. I'm not talking about drowning once again in what ifs or how bad it's been. But you should certainly acknowledge the fact that for you to get here today, you have gone through some awful stuff. You don't even have to know what another person with CFS has gone through to know that you've got chronic fatigue syndrome. You've gone through awful stuff. And then on top of that, your normal life's challenges. And some days you might feel better than others. And on those days that you feel good, you might like, well, am I going a bit crazy? Like, what's it all about? I don't see, hear, or feel everything I've gone through. You know, did it even happen? I know it's happened, but did it? Because it's that giant iceberg that you might not be able to see yourself. A lot of us, it's quite possible that you're going to forget just how much you've gone through, which is also kind of a good thing a little bit, because we really wouldn't want to remember it all the time. We'd go crazy. So when you're looking at a normal person who are going through normal life challenges, and they're either successful or they're not, we have to remember that there's a giant iceberg underneath there that we can't see for them. And we who have chronic fatigue syndrome, we have a giant health iceberg there as well, that we have that has contributed to the things that we are now. And people can't see our pains, our illness, our fatigue. They can tell we're tired, but you know what I mean. I hope you know what I mean. It's that giant iceberg underneath that contributes to the thing that you are. So if someone looking at a normal person is going to forget about that, then looking at someone with a chronic illness, they're likely to forget about that as well. So it's not necessarily that they're deliberately ignorant. It's just that they're ignorant and don't take the time to stop and be mindful and like, hey, what have you had to do to get to this stage in your life? But just keep in mind that you have done amazing things, and one of those amazing things is that you are here now. You have gone through bad days, bad nights. Your relationships with yourself and other people have been affected adversely, positively. Your working life has been affected. Your love life has been affected. Your physical life, your food life, your sleep life, everything has been affected. and here you are at the top of the very iceberg, representing everything that's happened. You deserve a pat on the back. Okay? And regardless if you're in that group of people who like to complain and build that pit of woe, those people still have got to where they are now. And I might be completely against some of the practices that they engage in and some of their uses of energy, but I cannot deny them the same pat on the back, like, hey, you got to here. Alright, here is not your end point, but you got to here, go you. You know, what's your next step? So I just wanted to share that. It was good perspective again. Putting into perspective. Oh, that's going to bug me. To be reminded again that you look at a human being and you're seeing like the tip of the iceberg, and here's Ellen DeGeneres sharing, you know, I had this and then I didn't and now I'm here, and like people just like to focus on the glitter and the sparkle and like, oh, you got it good. So it was good to be reminded again, and then how that ties in with chronic fatigue syndrome and fibromyalgia syndrome. So thank you very much for letting me share today. If you've got any questions or comments or like to introduce yourself, please do so below. And remember to like, share, subscribe, hit the notification button, and thank you very much for letting me share today.